Thank you for joining us today. As technology becomes more sophisticated and e-commerce more pervasive, the challenge of protecting your issuing business against fraudulent activity becomes a key factor in the successful management of your card portfolio. The system to avoid fraud effectively, also known as SAFE, is an important part of the foundation of many MasterCard risk management programs. MasterCard created the SAFE Compliance program in 1997 to ensure the capture of accurate and complete fraud data in SAFE. This module will provide a high-level overview of the SAFE Compliance program. The required in-depth SAFE and SAFE Compliance program training courses are easily accessible through the library available on MasterCard Connect. SAFE and SAFE Compliance-related courses include Introduction to SAFE Online, Advanced SAFE Online, and SAFE Compliance. SAFE is a repository of fraud transactions reported on MasterCard cards worldwide. MasterCard issuers submit fraud data to SAFE on a daily basis. SAFE offers issuers such features as timely and proactive data processing, the ability to report data in local currencies, and multiple reporting options. Issuers can report fraud to SAFE using batch reporting over the BankNet network or MasterCard File Express, MFE. Issuers can also report their transactions in real time using SAFE Online. Issuing staff may use the following fraud type codes when submitting fraudulent transactions to SAFE: 00 lost fraud, 01 stolen fraud, 02 never received issue, 03 fraudulent application, 04 counterfeit card fraud, 05 account takeover fraud, 06 card not present fraud. The purpose of the SAFE Compliance program is to provide fraud reporting compliance status information to MasterCard issuing customers and to confirm that issuing banks are complying with the MasterCard fraud reporting system requirements. MasterCard created the SAFE Compliance program to ensure the capture of accurate and complete fraud data in SAFE. MasterCard maintains a set of standards for determining whether issuers comply with the MasterCard SAFE reporting requirements for all fraudulent MasterCard point-of-sale (POS) transactions, all fraudulent Maestro POS transactions, and all fraudulent ATM transactions. Compliance is evaluated using the following 8 metrics. Utilization. Are fraud transactions reported to SAFE each month? Issuers must submit fraudulent transactions or a no fraud notice, FDN, each month for each ICA. Timeliness. Is SAFE reporting done according to the timeliness standards? For cards with MasterCard bins, fraud should be reported to SAFE as defined within 60 days of the transaction date, 30 days of the cardholder notification date, or 60 days of the first chargeback date for fraud-related chargebacks. Data accuracy. Is the data reported to SAFE accurate? To ensure data accuracy, MasterCard determines compliance based on compatibility between the issuer's SAFE record and the authorization and clearing records. Chargebacks. Have all transactions charged back for fraud-related reasons been reported to SAFE? The fraud-related chargeback metric ensures that issuers report all fraudulent transactions that have been charged back for fraud reasons. Clearing. Were 0 fraud transactions reported to SAFE when the ICA had significant clearing volume? MasterCard monitors issuers with high clearing transaction volume that do not report any fraud to SAFE for the same period. Suspends. Have suspended suspicious amount transactions been confirmed, modified, or deleted? SAFE suspends a transaction when it appears to be a duplicate, is more than or equal to $10,000, or the transaction amount and the cardholder billing differ by more than 25% after conversion to US dollars. Rejects. Are rejected transactions corrected and resubmitted? Issuers must monitor transactions rejected during submission to SAFE and are required to correct and resubmit them to SAFE in the next transmission. Deletes. Are there excessive deletions? The Safe Compliance program notifies issuers who delete an excessive number of transactions already reported to Safe in any month of the quarter. Each customer's compliance status is evaluated at month's end, and non-compliance first notice and final assessment determinations are made on a quarterly basis at the parent ICA level. Issuers can use the Safe Compliance online system to review their compliance status and generate Safe Compliance reports. Non-compliance assessments are discussed later in this course. Safe Compliance Online is an online system that resides on the MasterCard Connect homepage. The system allows issuers and their processors to easily review an issuer's monthly and quarterly Safe Compliance status and enables issuers to monitor their compliance with safe fraud reporting standards in order to avoid assessments. Safe Compliance Online offers customers the ability to view monthly and quarterly Safe Compliance status online, request a variance, view a variance request decision, review their data for accuracy, such as issuer name, issuer ID, processor, country, and region, provide contact email addresses, run Safe Compliance detail reports. First and final notices are sent to the security contact listed in the Member Information Manual, also known as the MIM. A first notice is a notification sent to an issuer after its first quarter of non-compliance. The notification alerts an issuer that it is at risk for an assessment if the same ICA continues to be non-compliant in the following quarter for the same compliance category. A final notice is a non-compliance assessment letter sent to issuers that are non-compliant for 2 or more consecutive quarters for the same ICA and same compliance category. Final notices are sent to issuers that are non-compliant during their promise period. A promise period occurs when the ICA is in a final notice status and agrees to be compliant for at least 1 year. To illustrate the Safe Compliance evaluation process, we will review the scenario of an issuing institution that reports fraudulent transactions to Safe each month, but was non-compliant with a safe reporting standard. Marge is a risk manager at an issuing institution. By submitting safe data each month, Marge and her staff were under the impression that they were compliant with safe standards. Although they reported fraudulent transactions per the safe mandate, they did not meet the Safe Compliance Rejects metric criteria. As the security contact listed in the MIM, Marge is in receipt of a first notice letter. A conversation takes place between Marge and a MasterCard staff member, Tommy.
Hello, thank you for calling MasterCard. This is Tommy. How may I help you?
Hi, Tommy. I'm concerned about the letter that I received from MasterCard that indicates one of our ICAs is non-compliant with safe standards. Can you help me understand why I received this letter?
Well, your institution received the first notice letter for the rejects metric because there were several rejected transactions pending in the system for more than 60 days.
What should I do to resolve the issue?
The transactions that were rejected are no longer in safe. The transactions must be corrected and resubmitted immediately. Completing this task by month's end should ensure compliance next quarter, which will help you avoid a final notice status on potential assessments. If this is not done, these rejected transactions will cause you to remain non-compliant next quarter.
What is a final notice?
An institution is in a final notice status when it is non-compliant for 2 or more consecutive quarters for the same ICA and same compliance category.
I'll be sure to have my staff correct and resubmit the transaction right away. Thank you, Tommy.
You're welcome. Have a great day.
MasterCard may impose assessments beginning with the second consecutive quarter of non-compliance when an ICA is in final notice or due to a broken promise. Assessments are billed to the parent ICA through the MCBS system on a quarterly basis and are debited roughly 60 days after the final notice notification letter is sent. Issuers may be assessed per child ICA and metric, and an additional assessment may be imposed for each subsequent quarter of non-compliance. Issuers may request a safe compliance variance to cover a specific period of non-compliance due to extraordinary conditions. The variance submission must be completed for each non-compliant child ICA and metric that is in a final notice status. The submission must include a description of the reason for non-compliance and a resolution plan detailing how and when the issue will be resolved. The issuer must enter into a promise agreement by selecting the promise agreement box. If a variance is granted, the ICA agrees to comply with the SAFE standard for at least 1 year after the end of the variance period. This 1-year period is called the promise period. An ICA that is non-compliant during the 1-year promise period is identified in a broken promise, final assessment status. Variance requests that are incomplete, have inadequate information to support the request, or do not have the promise agreement box checked are likely to be declined. Issuers must successfully complete the required in-depth SAFE compliance training course to be considered for a variance. The required in-depth SAFE compliance training course is accessible via the library on MasterCard Connect and via MasterCard University. Let's return to our case study. The issuing institution was not able to successfully correct and resubmit the rejected transactions from the prior quarter. As a result, its ICA is now in final notice and is subject to a non-compliance assessment. A second conversation takes place between Marge and MasterCard staff member Tommy.
Hi, Tommy. I received another notification from MasterCard concerning the rejects metric. What should I do now that our ICA is in final notice?
Your institution received a final notice for the rejects metric because several rejected transactions remain pending in the system for more than 60 days. As a result, the same ICA is now non-compliant with the rejects metric for 2 consecutive quarters and is subject to a non-compliance assessment.
Is there anything I could do to avoid the non-compliance assessment?
Yes, there is. If your institution's lack of reporting is due to an extraordinary issue, you may submit a variance request in Safe Compliance Online. To request a variance, select the Request Variance option under General Operations and be sure to include a resolution plan detailing how and when the issue will be resolved. I also want to advise you that the variance is subject to a promise agreement.
What's a promise agreement?
When submitting the variance, the issuer must check the promise agreement box. By selecting the box, your institution agrees to remain compliant for the rejects category for at least 1 year following the end of the variance period. If your institution is non-compliant during any quarter within the promise period, your institution will be identified in a broken promise final assessment. You should also be aware that variance requests that are incomplete, have inadequate information to support the request, or do not have the promise agreement box checked are likely to be declined.
Thank you, Tommy. I'll submit a variance right away.
Okay, is there anything else I can assist you with?
Not at this time. You've been very helpful. Thank you.
You're very welcome.
The bank successfully submitted a variance for the rejects metric. Because the bank took the necessary steps to implement a project plan to correct their rejected transactions, they were able to avoid a non-compliance assessment and are now in compliance with SAFE standards. Thank you for your time and for tuning into this presentation to review the SAFE Compliance Program. We will present a few questions to test your knowledge of SAFE compliance. Thank you for your time and attention today. Congratulations on completing the System to Avoid Fraud Effectively module.